Picture this. It's a cold November morning in 1923. You're in a crowded bakery in the heart of Berlin, trying to buy a simple loaf of bread for your family. The air is thick with tension and the stale smell of burnt flour. You glance at the chalkboard price list behind the counter. Your heart sinks. A single loaf now costs 200 billion marks. Not 200,000, not 200 million, 200 billion. The elderly woman ahead of you isn't carrying a purse. She has a rusty wheelbarrow piled high with bundled banknotes, just to pay for a bottle of milk and a few potatoes. As you shuffle forward in the line, the exhausted baker sighs, picks up his chalk, and scratches out the price. He writes a new one, 250 billion marks. In the 12 minutes you've been waiting, your money lost almost a third of its value. This isn't a dystopian film. This was the brutal daily reality for millions of people in the Weimar Republic. And this terrifying script has played out again and again across the globe, in different eras, under different flags, but always with the same devastating consequences for ordinary people. Venezuela, 2018. A carton of eggs costs 7 million bolivians. A month's salary might buy a few kilograms of rice. Zimbabwe, 2008. The government prints a $100 trillion note because carrying stacks of lower denominations is physically impossible. Lebanon, 2023. A doctor who spent a lifetime saving for retirement watches helplessly as her bank account, once worth $200,000, can now barely cover a month's groceries. A national currency has lost 98% of its value in 4 years. Here is the unsettling historical truth that most financial systems don't teach you. The question is not if a paper currency will fail. For any currency not backed by a tangible asset like gold, the historical question is always when. Scholars who studied the lifespan of fiat currencies, money declared valuable by government decree, estimate their average life is only about 27 years. The modern US dollar, since it was fully untethered from gold in 1971, has been alive for over 50. The math invites a sobering conclusion. This leads us to the only question that truly matters for preserving your life's work. When the rules of money are rewritten overnight, when the numbers in your bank account transform from a comfort to a cruel joke, what actually holds its value? I have spent years as a financial forensic analyst, studying the economic autopsies of fallen currencies. I've pored over data from Weimar Germany, Hungary in the 1940s, Yugoslavia in the 1990s, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Argentina, Lebanon, and more. This isn't about theory or scare tactics. This is about cold, hard, historical fact. By the end of this, you will know the 10 specific asset classes that have consistently survived when nations burned, and you will know the 3 categories of assets that have turned to ash every single time. First, you must understand the blueprint. The death of a currency is not a random accident or an act of God. It is a predictable, mathematical process that follows a 5-stage script. This script has been followed in every single hyperinflation in modern history. Stage 1, the fiscal gap. A government, for reasons of war, social promise, or corruption, begins to spend dramatically more money than it collects in taxes. The budget deficit balloons. Stage 2, the printing press solution. Instead of making the politically painful choices to raise taxes or cut spending, the government turns to its central bank. It begins to create new currency out of thin air to pay its bills. Stage 3, the erosion of trust. As this new money floods the economy, a simple law of economics takes over. More money chasing the same amount of goods causes prices to rise. People start to notice their cash buys less. They begin to lose faith. Stage 4, the panic and flight. The loss of trust accelerates. People realize the money in their pocket is melting. They rush to spend it immediately or trade it for anything of lasting value. Real goods, foreign currency, gold. This frantic selling of the local currency speeds up its devaluation. Stage 5, the collapse. The currency's value enters a freefall. It becomes worthless paper. The monetary system ceases to function as a medium of exchange. Barter or a foreign currency takes over. Look at the historical records. They are the proof of this pattern. Weimar Germany went from 320 marks to the US dollar in mid-1922 to an incomprehensible 4.2 trillion marks per dollar by November 2023. That is a loss of effectively 100% of its purchasing power in 18 months. In post-World War II Hungary, the 1946 hyperinflation holds the world record. Prices doubled every 15 hours. Venezuela's bolivar moved from about 10 per dollar in 2012 to over 1 million per dollar a decade later. Lebanon's pound collapsed from 1,500 per dollar in 2019 to 89,000 per dollar by 2024. Same pattern, same stages, same human tragedy. So, amidst this chaos, where does wealth hide? What endures when the paper foundation dissolves? Let's examine the 10 assets that have proven themselves across these historical fires. Asset 1. Precious metals. The timeless anchor. This is the oldest and most proven survivor, yet it remains the asset most people neglect. Physical gold and silver. These are not investments in the traditional sense. They are monetary metals. Their value stems from their scarcity, durability, and divisibility, and a 5,000-year global consensus as a store of value. Crucially, no government or central bank can print them into existence. Consider the brutal arithmetic of Weimar Germany. If you held 100,000 marks in cash or government savings bonds in 1921, by 1923, that sum was literally not enough to buy a single postage stamp, a 100% wipeout. But if you held a single 20-mark gold coin, which contained about 0.23 ounces of pure gold, in 1921, its purchasing power remained intact. That same coin could still buy a fine suit at the height of the crisis. The currency died, the gold did not. We see this identical pattern everywhere. In Zimbabwe's hyperinflation, those who had quietly accumulated gold krugerrands could still trade for necessities when trillion-dollar notes were littering the streets. In Venezuela, while people needed suitcases of bolivars for groceries, a small gold bracelet could be traded for months of supplies. We are seeing it right now in Turkey and Egypt. In 2023 and 2024, as their local currencies plummeted, citizens in both nations rushed to buy gold in record amounts. Turkish gold imports hit all-time highs. Why? Because people on the front lines of monetary decay instinctively run to the only asset that has survived every financial storm in recorded history. Critics often say, gold pays no interest. They miss the point entirely. Gold's primary function is capital preservation, not speculation. It is insurance. You pay homeowners insurance not because you want your house to burn down, but because you need protection if it does. Gold is insurance against the burning down of the monetary system. When the supply of paper money explodes, the purchasing power of each unit collapses. The supply of gold increases only 1 to 2% per year through mining. This makes it, by mathematical default, a preserver of purchasing power. Its job is to sit there, silently, and not be debased. Asset 2. Foreign hard currencies. The immediate lifeboat when your national currency is sinking. The most direct escape is to hold the stable money of a stronger, more responsible nation. Let me paint a modern scene for you. It's Beirut, Lebanon, 2019. You are an architect. Over 15 years of careful work, you have saved $300,000 for your children's education and your retirement. That money sits in your Lebanese bank account, converted into pounds at the official government fixed rate of 1,507 pounds to the dollar, a rate that had held for over 2 decades. You feel secure. Then, the foundation cracks. The government can no longer support the peg. By late 2019, on the black market, where reality sets in, the rate jumps to 2,000, then 3,000. By 2021, it's 15,000. By 2024, the official banking system rate is 89,000 pounds to the dollar. Your life's work, that $300,000, is now worth about $5,000 in real purchasing power. You have lost over 98% of your wealth. The numbers on your bank statement are the same, but the meaning behind them has evaporated. Now, consider your colleague. He also saved $300,000, but years ago, sensing instability, he moved a portion of his savings into a brokerage account abroad, holding US dollars in euros. When the storm hit, he maintained his wealth. It wasn't genius, it was prudence. He held assets in a currency that was not in the process of self-destruction. This is not a Lebanese story, it is a universal one. In Argentina, for decades, people have kept their significant savings in dollar blue, physical US dollars traded on the parallel market. In Zimbabwe, the economy dollarized itself from the bottom up. People refused to use the local dollar and conducted transactions in US dollars or South African rands, long before the government admitted defeat. This is a survival mechanism, not an investment strategy. When a government violates the trust behind its money, people will find sounder money elsewhere. The lesson is stark. Access to stable foreign currency, during a domestic collapse is the single most important factor in preventing the total evaporation of your savings. Asset 3, productive equities, the ownership lifeline. This one is counterintuitive and separates amateur observers from true students of economic history. I am talking about stocks, specifically shares in real, productive companies that own assets, generate profits, and often operate across borders. Here is what might shock you. During the worst years of Venezuela's hyperinflation, the Caracas Stock Exchange Index skyrocketed in Bolivar terms. In 2024 alone, it rose over 3,400%. Individual stocks like banks and telecom companies saw gains of 200%, 300%, or more in near months. How can this be when the country is in economic ruin? It makes perfect sense when you understand what you truly own with a stock. You own a fractional share of a company's real assets, its factories, machinery, inventory, land, and intellectual property. When the local currency collapses, the nominal price of those assets, quoted in that currency, must rise to reflect their real value. A telecommunications company with infrastructure worth $100 million doesn't become worthless. It simply requires 100 billion Bolivians instead of 1 billion to represent that same $100 million value as the Bolivar falls. However, this is the critical caveat. Not all equities are created equal in a currency crisis. A domestic retailer that sells only to Venezuelans and Bolivians is on a treadmill to oblivion. Its costs and revenues are both in a collapsing unit. The real survivors and even beneficiaries are companies with hard currency revenue streams. Think of a Venezuelan oil company. Despite state control, its product is sold for dollars. A gold miner, or the local subsidiary of a multinational like Coca-Cola. These entities earn US dollars from exports or have a parent company that supports them. Their local cost, labor, some services are in cheap bolivars, while their income is in stable dollars. This currency mismatch can lead to exploding profits in real terms. For a shareholder, this acts as a powerful, automatic hedge. History confirms this. Studies of the Latin American debt crisis, the Mexican peso crisis of 1994, and the Asian financial crisis of 1997 show that companies with significant export revenue or multinational structures saw their share prices hold or even rise in US dollar terms, while purely domestic companies were decimated. The takeaway is clear. In a diversified portfolio meant to survive systemic risk, exposure to multinational corporations or foreign stock markets is not just growth-seeking, it is a defensive necessity. Asset 4, essential consumables and barter goods. The tactical network. When the formal money system shatters, economic activity doesn't cease. It reverts to its most ancient form, direct barter. In post-World War II Germany, with the Reichsmark utterly discredited, people traded goods for goods. Cigarettes, nylon stockings, blocks of coal, tins of coffee, and bars of soap became the de facto currency. An American pack of cigarettes, obtained for a few cents by a GI, could be traded for a valuable porcelain vase or a week's worth of skilled repair work. Cigarettes were a particularly efficient currency. They were standardized, durable, easily divisible, widely desired, and relatively portable. The system was so robust that economists studied these cigarette economies to understand pure monetary phenomena. When a large Red Cross shipment flooded a POW camp with cigarettes, it caused instant inflation. The price of other goods and cigarettes shot up, demonstrating the same supply-demand principles as national currencies. We see modern versions in every collapse. In Venezuela, communities organized barter markets on social media. A mechanic would offer an engine repair in exchange for antibiotics or bags of rice. A hairdresser would trade cuts for eggs and vegetables. The items that held immediate exchange value were not luxury goods, but essentials. Canned fish, powdered milk, diabetes medication, gasoline, propane canisters, batteries, ammunition, and simple tools. It is vital to understand the role of these assets correctly. They are tactical, not strategic. You cannot build or preserve long-term wealth with a basement full of canned beans. These goods are for immediate liquidity, survival, and community cohesion during the most acute, chaotic phase of a collapse, when normal channels of commerce are frozen. A prudent preparedness plan includes a small allocation to such practical tradable goods, but they are the financial equivalent of a fire extinguisher, crucial in an emergency, but not the foundation of your retirement plan. Asset 5, Agricultural land, the fundamental producer. This is the ultimate tangible asset, fertile land that produces the most basic human necessity, food. Throughout history, those who control the means of food production possess a fundamental form of security that transcends financial markets. During the Great Depression in the United States, the suffering was profound, but it was uneven. While urban workers stood in bread lines, many farm families, though impoverished in cash terms, avoided starvation. They could grow vegetables, raise chickens for eggs, and milk their cows. They were insulated from the complete failure of the monetary economy because they produced vital commodities directly. Their wealth was in the land's productive capacity. In modern collapses like Zimbabwe or Venezuela, those with access to productive land, even a small plot, could feed their families and trade surplus for other needs. The land's value is intrinsically linked to its caloric output, which remains constant regardless of the value of paper money. However, agricultural land carries severe and often underappreciated risks. First, it is profoundly illiquid. You cannot sell it quickly in a crisis. Second, it is a stationary and visible target. In Zimbabwe, in the early 2000s, the government sanctioned the seizure of thousands of productive commercial farms. Overnight, landowners lost everything, not to market forces, but to political decree. Third, land cannot hide from taxation. A government desperate for revenue can levy taxes payable in a currency you don't have, forcing you to sell the land at a fire sale price to pay the bill. Therefore, the strategic approach to land is highly nuanced. The most resilient agricultural land is either located in a stable, rule of law jurisdiction outside the crisis zone, used to produce high-value export crops, e-grams, coffee, nuts, organic produce that generate foreign currency, owned through a secure legal structure like a trust or corporation that provides some protection. Simply owning dirt is not a guaranteed shield. You must own the right dirt in the right place with the right legal protections. Asset 6. Critical real estate in stable jurisdictions. Real estate is a broad category, and in a collapse, it fractures into winners and losers. A luxury high-rise condo in downtown Caracas or Beirut becomes a liability. No buyers, no tenants who can pay, yet still subject to taxes and maintenance. However, essential income-producing real estate in a stable area can be a fortress. Think of a functional warehouse in a secure port city that facilitates international trade, a well-maintained apartment building in a stable neighboring country, or storage facilities in a region with growing demand. The key is that the property provides a necessary service and generates rent or revenue that is either priced in a stable foreign currency or is so fundamentally useful that payment will be arranged somehow. The real estate itself is a hard, immobile asset, but its survival is 100% dependent on its location, use case, and the legal system that protects it. Owning a small, debt-free income property in a politically stable region can provide a crucial stream of hard currency income during turmoil elsewhere. Asset 7. Cryptocurrencies and digital hard assets. The new frontier. This is the 21st century entry into the historical survival list. In recent crises, we have witnessed a growing turn to decentralized digital assets, primarily Bitcoin and dollar-pegged stablecoins. Why? Because they embody key properties of traditional hard assets in a digital form. A verifiably limited, predictable supply. Only 21 million Bitcoin will ever exist. Ease of cross-border transfer. A wallet on your phone can hold value that can be sent anywhere on Earth. And independence from the traditional banking system. No government can freeze a properly secured Bitcoin wallet. In Venezuela and Lebanon, despite government restrictions, peer-to-peer trading of Bitcoin and USDT Tether exploded on platforms like Local Bitcoins and Paxful. For tech-savvy citizens, it became a way to preserve value, pay for imported goods online, and send remittances when the banking system was broken or corrupt. It is not without immense risk, extreme volatility, the need for technical knowledge to avoid scams or loss, and regulatory uncertainty, but it represents a powerful new tool in the ancient human endeavor to protect wealth from predatory monetary regimes. It is a digital, portable lifeboat. Asset 9. Portable, high-value collectibles. The niche escape hatch. This is a more specialized and risky category, but history shows that certain universally recognized, portable luxuries can sometimes act as a store of value and a medium of exchange across borders. Examples include specific luxury watches, Rolex, Patek Philippe, certain diamonds, GIA certified stones of good quality, or small works of art from known artists. The theory is that these items have a global market and a consensus value that exists outside any one collapsing economy. A refugee with a Rolex Submariner strapped to their wrist could, in theory, cross a border and sell it for hard currency to restart their life, where moving cash or gold may be impossible. However, the downsides are massive. The market is illiquid, expertise is required to avoid counterfeits, and during a widespread crisis, the demand for luxury items plummets. It is not a strategy for the average person, but for some, it has provided a last resort option. Asset 10. Community trust and social networks, the ultimate safety net. Finally, the most vital and overlooked asset of all, social capital. In a true systemic collapse, the isolated individual, no matter how wealthy in gold or supplies, is profoundly vulnerable. The family unit, the trusted circle of friends, the cooperative neighborhood, these become the institutions that provide security, share resources, pool skills, and enforce informal contracts when courts and police vanish. Communities that have built bonds of trust and reciprocity before a crisis have a survival rate orders of magnitude higher than any collection of lone individuals. Knowing your neighbor's skills, having shared agreements for security and food sharing, and maintaining strong familial ties are intangible investments that pay the highest dividend when everything else fails. This network is your first and last line of defense.